Imagine a universe before any eye opened to look at it. Science traditionally assumes that when biological observers evolved, their senses were shaped to accurately map this pre-existing physical reality. Cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman has spent over 3 decades challenging that assumption. He argues that neuroscience and physics are building from a foundational premise that is demonstrably false. His thesis is that evolution designed our sensory organs to hide objective reality. This filtering was the specific mechanism that kept our ancestors alive. Using evolutionary game theory and Monte Carlo simulations, Hoffman tested the survival of organisms that see the truth versus those that do not. One model, the truth seer, maps the full complexity of physical reality. The other, the heuristic runner, ignores truth in favor of fast, actionable data cues. The truth seer pays a massive metabolic tax, slowing down to process the vast complexity of objective reality. The simulations show that the probability of a truth seer outcompeting a heuristic runner is exactly 0. Our species won because we evolved to see a fast, cheap cartoon of the world. We are the descendants of those survivors. For billions of years, our biological architecture prioritized speed and fitness over accuracy. This evidence suggests that physical objects and the framework of space and time are merely a biological user interface. Human perception is inherently blind to absolute truth because our survival depended on ignoring it. The Western Australian outback provides a clear example of this biological filtering in action. The male jewel beetle thrived here for millions of years, using a highly efficient strategy for finding a mate. This diagram isolates the beetle's satisficing strategy. Rather than perceiving the true biological form of a female, the beetle evolved to scan for 3 simple variables: something large, glossy brown, and dimpled. This shortcut failed when humans introduced discarded beer bottles that matched those exact cues. Male beetles swarmed the glass, attempting to mate with the bottles until they died in the sun, while ignoring the actual females walking past them. The beer bottle hacked the beetle's interface. Because the bottles satisfied the beetle's fitness payoffs more intensely than biological reality, the insect's senses became its downfall. Human attraction functions through similar ancient scanning routines. Symmetry, clear eyes, and vibrant skin are just localized icons indicating fitness. Modern industries exploit these cues by engineering products that mimic and amplify them. Take highly engineered cosmetics, the deep gloss of new cars, or hyper-saturated food photography. These serve as beer bottles for the human interface. Biological senses are localized arrays of fitness triggers designed to prompt survival behaviors. Hoffman formalizes this as the interface theory of perception, using the desktop of a computer as its primary model. Dragging a blue folder to the trash is a symbolic action. You understand that there is no physical blue object inside the computer. The true reality of the machine involves billions of flipping transistors and magnetic patterns. If you had to manipulate those voltages directly to send an email, the task would be impossible. The interface exists to hide the complexity of the hardware so the user can operate the machine efficiently. The moon and the stars are 3D icons on a species-specific desktop. They represent a simplified summary of our survival options. This theory implies that the physical human brain is also an icon within that interface, rather than the source of consciousness. In the 1960s, surgeons treated severe epilepsy by severing the corpus callosum, the bridge of nerve fibers connecting the brain's 2 halves. Severing that physical tissue resulted in 2 distinct centers of will sharing a single skull. One hand would button a shirt, while the other quietly unbuttoned it, revealing 2 separate conscious entities within one body. Hoffman uses this to question how fundamental beliefs and personalities can be split with a surgical scalpel if they are truly bedrock reality. The brain appears to be a localized icon that consciousness uses to interact with the world, much like a folder on a screen. While our perception of objects might be a simplified interface, we generally assume that the background stage of space and time is objectively real. Many theoretical physicists now argue that space-time is a secondary effect, famously stating that space-time is doomed as a foundational concept. The study of black holes reveals why. Stephen Hawking's work on these regions showed that the rules of physical space break down at extreme scales. Information density usually depends on volume, but Hawking proved that a black hole's capacity is determined by its surface area. This is the holographic principle. The universe stores its contents like a hologram on a surface boundary, behaving more like a data structure than a physical container. Science traditionally relies on reductionism, the belief that looking closer reveals fundamental laws. But reductionism hits a wall at the Planck length. Here, coordinates of space and time cease to make sense, and math stops providing smaller physical objects. When physicists set aside space-time as a variable, massive calculations simplify into a few lines of handwritten math, revealing elegant symmetries that were previously hidden. Space-time serves as a species-specific formatting mechanism, the screen rather than the world behind it. Evolutionary biology and quantum physics lead to the same conclusion from opposite ends of science. Laboratory tests have consistently falsified the idea that particles have a definite position when they are not being measured. This forms the basis of cubism, a framework where every act of observation is an act of creation. The observer renders the world into a definite state in the act of looking. This evidence suggests that physical matter is the result of awareness, not its cause. If every physical icon is stripped away, only the observer remains. Hoffman names this fundamental layer conscious realism, a non-physical network of interacting awareness. This model treats biological forms as temporary VR headsets. Fundamental consciousness puts on a human, an amoeba, or a beetle headset to explore a localized interface. Physicalism occurs when consciousness dives so deeply into an interface that it forgets it is wearing a headset, mistakenly concluding that only matter exists. Birth represents the opening of a new portal, a fresh headset coming online for consciousness to experience a new perspective. Death marks the dissolution of one specific interface, the point where the headset is permanently removed. You have never seen objective reality because you are the fundamental awareness doing the rendering.